Sorry for the delay, folks, but we are finally here. Welcome to the Link to the Past Randomizer Cross Key Tournament. Winner bracket round 2 between topplife and prieR57. I hope I haven't butchered that. With us today we have our wonderful commentator. Say hello.
Hello, hello. How's everybody doing? I hope everybody out there is hyped for some Cross Keys Rando because I am excited to get this race started. I am Cool Papa Bell 22, and I will be guiding you through all of the madness that's about to happen.
Sorry for the delays and the cancellation earlier. Those things were outside of our control, but this race is going on, and I hope you guys all enjoy. So I'll leave you to it, dude.
All right, thank you very much. Yeah, this is our last race in the winner's bracket in the second round, I believe. prieR finding a heart piece in Link's house, and there is a pod small key in the sanctuary right off the bat. So already some route divergence from the runners. We see this a lot in Cross Keys. There are just so many different things to check out at the beginning that are interesting that rarely will runners end up in the same spot. We see Sanctuary is leading us to the well drop down. So that'll be a convenient place to start right off the bat to lead us right into Kakariko Village. Will be easy to get to after a save and quit, and we find Ice Palace already at the Hyrule Castle main entrance. Also handy to find Mini Moldorm Cave already, although unfortunately with no weapons to kill the Moldorms, we can't get through it yet. Vanilla Fortune Teller. Is this even randomized? And a small key at the Lumberjack location, which is at the Uncle drop down, so we'll see that right away. And it looks like the Lost Woods hideout will lead us to Ganon, so we know where that is. So, at the very least, no vanilla pyramid today, making us fight Aga 2 from the looks of things. Could always need that to find an item, possibly, but far more unlikely. And that's the Hera basement key behind the Uncle drop-down. And meanwhile, topplife finds us Misery Mire at the Lost Woods gambling game on the north side. Ooh, Lumberjack leads to the well. That's unfortunate. So there's 5 items locked behind Aga 1. And the boots, of course. So it looks like prieR is doing some bomb farming before he heads into Kakariko. And topplife is going to drop down into the back of Escape through the well entrance. See what we find there. Nothing much in back of Escape, and meanwhile prieR is finding the bottom of Super Bunny Cave, just outside of Kakariko Village. Is opting not to follow that through, since that is a one-way trip after you drop down that hole, so he's rather check out a lot of these entrances. There's Chest Game also. It's a handy find. We're finding lots of item locations right off the bat, which is always nice. And we see just 10 arrows at the race game, so that's not, that exit from the left side of the brother's house is not something we'll be desperately hunting for, as you so often have to in Cross Keys. Ooh, topplife taking an unfortunate death there in Mini Moldorm Cave. Again, though, with the save and quit location, Sanctuary leading you right back into Kakariko, that's not too much of a time loss. And we'll see another drop down here. Magic Bat is vanilla. And there's our first swingy dinghy. prior finding a sword in the waterfall ferry at the Smith's house, or rather pyramid ferry at the Smith's house. That'll make his trip into Mini Moldorm Cave a little bit easier. And we see a couple of fairly unexciting small keys there in the back of Mini Moldorm. The GT small is mildly useful. The Mizramayo less so. Same with that Ice Palace small key we see in the back of Tavern. There is a bumper cave entrance also from Kakariko. There's the Smith's hut. That'll be an easy delivery today. So far a fairly generous seed. We have seen some nice item locations that we found off the bat. The drop-downs are not too evil to us, other than that well behind the lumberjack tree. So, question in chat about this mode. This is cross keys, meaning the entrances are randomized, and the entrances in one world, light world, or dark world can lead you to the other side. So, light world entrances can take you to the dark world, and vice versa. The goal is officially defeat Ganon, but it is a crystals goal, meaning that you do not necessarily have to defeat Aga 2 to beat Ganon, because Ganon himself might not be in the pyramid. The only reason to defeat Aga 2 in this seed is to open up the hole in the pyramid to drop down, which might lead you to some items, but that just depends on how the entrances are randomized today. And yes, drop-downs are paired together. So wherever you walk into, say, in the Lost Woods hideout, the tree stump, that same location is where you would get to if you drop down. So there are 8 drops in total. prior finding the Moon Pearl, by the way, in chess game, now that he can come back with some cash to actually play the game. So for example, when prior walked into the Lost Woods hideout and saw the exit of Ganon's cave, or of the Ganon fight, which you see if you fall off the edge, then he knows that the drop down leads you directly into the Ganon fight, which of course is useless right now, and so we have gotten all the crystals so that Ganon is actually vulnerable to, dying. So, we found lots of entrances, seen a fair number of items, but not so many helpful items. Just the sword and the Moon Pearl. That powder, also not very helpful until we find the hammer, so we can get into Magic Bat, since that's vanilla today. Ooh, that's a nice entrance that topplife found there. Lets you out on top of Hyrule Castle, which gives you 2 more entrances. See, that one was just a Dark World shop. Not particularly exciting. And the bad half of Ice Rod Cave, so it's a good location to find, but not actually all that helpful. So, interesting, I think we've seen both runners go into that cave with a potential hint that would cost them 20 rupees, which I think they've decided their rupees are just too valuable since they know where chest game is and everything. These rupees early on become actually a pretty scarce resource. So, all told, Kakariko has not been particularly exciting today. There are a couple of connectors, like that Super Bunny Cave, that we haven't fully checked out. We also saw the one side of Bumper Cave, which we can't do just yet. But looks like topplife is heading in the Eastern Palace direction. Got a couple of entrances to check out around Lake Hylia along the way. Ooh, there's Tower of Hera. We do have that basement key, but no fire source yet, so we can't actually check out that basement item, but 2 quick checks and a hint here. A joke hint, naturally. Why would they give us helpful information right away? And the Swamp Palace map. So prieR also finding that well. I think that's definitely going to be weighing on our runners' minds. Those 5 items that are going to be unlocked pretty early once we find either once we find the lamp and then either a second sword or a cape. Those will be in logic. They're just going to want to avoid doing Aga 1 if they can possibly help it. Oh, right, this is cross keys. I guess they're also going to need some keys to climb the Aga Tower. And also they're going to need to know where Aga is. Ooh, topplife finding Ganon's Tower. Once again, not a whole lot in logic here, other than these 2 chests in Hope Room with the items that we currently have, but it's a very good source of treasure chests in cross keys, so good to know where that is. Probably going to show us another drop down over on the right side as topplife death warps out of GT, and the ferry leading us to the Uncle drop down. And there is a big early find for prieR. Finding the bow and the Uncle drop down, you have to expect topplife will get there pretty quickly, since that's in those Sphere 0 locations that you want to check. But as everyone who runs Rando knows, the bow can be a very trolly item to have to track down, so we're always happy to check that one off the list. And we get a Desert Palace entrance also. This is nice for a couple of item checks, a hint as well, and some more entrances. Ooh, big key to Tower of Hera for prieR, and the Ice Rod. Very nice Mire Shed. So then that opens up everything except the basement of Hera, if prieR wants to go back there. Of course, we don't know where any of our pendants or crystals are, but very tempting with 3 extra item checks up the tower. Everyone's favorite, a small key on the torch in Desert. We'll have to wait for Boots to see what that is. That could be completely useless or very important like the Swamp Palace small key. And prieR is heading into Tower of Hera right away. Meanwhile, topplife finding a connector over to the Ice Rod area. Only a couple of entrances here without the gloves to lift up that rock outside. But again, connectors to remote locations of the world are very handy to find until such time as you get the flute or something else to help you move around the map faster. And we will get a proper South Shore check as well. Red cane for prieR. That does technically open up one more check in Ganon's Tower. if we want to do tile room right off the bat. Nicely executed bomb jump across the gap to get the Book of Mudora out of the Tower of Hera big chest. Meanwhile, I think that was Eastern and Desert are red crystals today, as Top Life finds the big bomb shop over on the left side. So, Book can be sneakily required in entrance randomizer, since there's the main Desert Palace entrance that you are sometimes required to have the book to get to. priER, meanwhile, doing everyone's favorite fighter sword, Moldorm, has to deal with super angry fast mode here at the end, and just avoids falling off the edge there, and takes down the worm. He's rewarded with Quake and a Crystal, so that was a very fruitful trip up the Tower of Hera. Meanwhile, Top Life has found Laser Bridge, and unfortunately takes a death there trying to skip past the lasers. Very tricky without the boots or any sort of invincibility item. So now Top seems to have the timing on the laser skips there, finding a heart container and a bee in a bottle, it looks like. Finding a shield on Laser Bridge is mildly interesting. It means that somewhere there will be a cane or a blue cane or a cape, since it won't be mirror shield, giving us logical access to the items on Laser Bridge. priER, meanwhile, is going to take that red cane right back into GT and show us this tile room, it looks like. So yeah, with the divergence in early routing in entrance randomizer, it can be a little tricky to tell what's going on. So you know, Top Life has seen all of those South Shore entrances that priER has not. So he will have those to check out. He is back in Kakariko. Let's hope he heads over to the Smith's entrance to get his Moon Pearl, since I hear that's a pretty important item. And priER finding the mirror in tile room. Wow, that is a great play from him. Things have just been really working out for priER's routing. Having the red cane before he actually dipped into GT for the first time, before he even found it. And I think finding the Hera big key right before he found the Hera entrance, if I recall correctly. I think that was actually Top Life who was in there the first time. I'm not 100% sure about that. Okay, my bad. It was not at the Smith's entrance. It was the chess game there at the brother's house, which Top Life did have on his list. Got that Moon Pearl, so that's very good. Yeah, so a big question will be whether Top Life decides to head back into GT once he finds that red cane. It's a little bit less tempting when it just gives you the one extra check, but Mirror is such a huge item in entrance randomizer because it gives you so much more flexibility, particularly in cross keys, when you might find yourself, you know, on Dark Eastern Death Mountain suddenly, and then the mirror gives you access to Light East Death Mountain as well. It's just a fantastic item for mobility in entrance randomizer. So that mirror is a really big advantage that priER found it as early as he did. And Top has decided to check out Super Bunny and follow this connector through to the other side. Not particularly exciting items. Gets to the dark Ice Rod area, sometimes called the Dark World Shopping Mall. So very happy to have his Moon Pearl before he gets there so he can check out these entrances. Sick Kid just giving us a compass to Turtle Rock. And now we see prieR checking out some things that we've already seen Top do. Top finding the Bonk Rocks location with just 3 bombs. I think when Top was here before, he went out that desert entrance, checked out the Ice Rod entrances, and then saved and quit. I'm not sure if we have seen what happens if you go out the main entrance of Desert. So I think this might be a new check that prieR's giving us over here. And there we go. He just randomly gets let out on East Dark Death Mountain. So that mirror gives him access to a lot of entrances right now. We will see how he decides to route this. I'll be honest, I have no idea what the most efficient play is to do right now. We see Quake for the main entrance of Turtle Rock, which may or may not actually be helpful again. So prieR opting to check out some Light World entrances. That's a good connector to know, actually, that Spiral Cave lets you out on the top of Death Mountain. I like this from prieR, too. He's going to walk over and check out the Ether Tablet with that book, and the Tower of Hera entrance as well, of course. So just a heart on Ether, but good to know where that is. Especially, you know, entrance randomizer, you never know where the items actually are, so given a guaranteed item, that's always a convenient thing to check out when you can. Looks like prieR's found the Old Man Cave, which always must be somewhere on Death Mountain so you can deliver him, as Top is setting up a fake flipper to get up toward the potion shop quickly. So Top has found this loaded mire shed. We're going to find the Ice Rod and this big key to Hera. Old Man just giving us a heart piece, but makes sense that prieR opted to just go ahead and do the Old Man right away, as Mimic Cave is inside the Old Man's Cave today. So that means he will sort of lose his portal and his access to the eastern part of the of Death Mountain, but a lot to check out over here on the western part of Death Mountain as well, so not too bad. And finding Agate Tower, we're going to get to check this first treasure chest, as Top, not surprisingly, heads right back into Hera with that big key. Top showing off that very nice room strat there, where the recoil from hitting the blue bumper thing knocks you right into the switch that you want to hit. Ooh, prieR finding the top of Paradox Cave also. Another spot where having that mirror comes in handy, since he can check any exit out of this cave that he feels like, just by getting rid of that block right there. Of course, we'll want to check out these 7 items first. I hear 7 items are good. Also finds a bee in a bottle. the Tower Repair starter pack after already having completed it. Master Sword, another Pod Small Key, and another GT Small Key, as we see Top taking a fall on the Trolldorm fight over here. Decides to live up to his name. Prior thinking about what to do, could definitely head back out the top of Paradox Cave, check out more entrances there. Does want to see some other exits, and that's unlucky. If that lets him out an exit, he cannot go right back in, and so he has sort of lost where he was up on Death Mountain. There's always the risk of following these connectors before you sort of complete everything you want to do where you were, but it's a relatively low risk. That's unlikely to happen, but this time it unfortunately bit prior. So it looks like he's headed right back to the eastern area. I forget how he actually got all the way up to Death Mountain, but we'll see if he heads right back there or checks out a couple of other entrances first, as Topplife also finishes off Moldorm with only a little bit of trolling there. Yet another Turtle Rock entrance at the cave just above the Flute 5 spot. So of course in Turtle Rock, when you come in this door, you can work your way backwards through a fair bit of the dungeon without having any keys. We can steal the Pokey Key on the left and check out Lava Chest. We can also work our way back to the Chain Chomp room and check out the chest there with basically no equipment. Top is taking his cane straight back into the Laser Bridge entrance. Similarly, he can work his way backwards to the Crystal Roller room. Nicely navigating the Samaria block maze in the dark there. We see Top hoarding his health very carefully there. Ooh, and does take a death. Turtle Rock is a very dangerous place with the equipment that our runners have currently. And Chain Chomp chest, not particularly exciting. Yeah, I'm not actually sure if that was an intentional death from Top. I'm trying to think. Can you go backwards through the big key door? I'm not actually sure if you can get back to the middle part of Turtle Rock from there. Alright, chat telling me yes you can, but Top opting not to, it appears. Well, as we find the swamp entrance, not helpful until we get the dam and a whole lot more equipment, but the hint there tells us about one particular entrance in to the lower Death Mountain entrance. That must be the one behind the rock right outside of Lumberjack, I believe. So prior is now working his way back out of the desert main entrance, which is how he got up to Dark Death Mountain, I believe. And now Top has offered another entrance into Turtle Rock. We will see if he now goes back to Chain Chomps and Lava Chest, which he will. Prior still got a lot left to do on the west side of Death Mountain, has all those entrances around Spectacle Rock to check, and one more exit out of Paradox Cave, and just bombs on top of Spectacle Rock. I guess he's also got the Dark Death Mountain Cave down there as well, which he can get to. Ice Palace big key, so fetch quest available. As Top gets the bad news of all the time he spent to get to that map of Mire, and will also Death Warp out. And prior finding Hookshot Cave, once again, the mirror is going to be very helpful here, as he will get let out at the floating island. Actually, I'm not sure if we've looked at that item yet. I don't think we've actually seen it, so we'll just check it blind here. Why not? Oh, wait, what am I talking about? That exit will not let him out of the floating island necessarily. Whew, I'm awake. So here's yet another branch that prior might want to follow. He can mirror here and check out the entrance there. That will also give him access to the western part of Dark World if he wants it, but yeah, let's see here. I would not be surprised if he heads back up to Death Mountain. Nope, he is going to go to Western Dark World. We got a lot of stuff to check in Village of Outcasts. We can get into Skull Woods. All sorts of options over here, but that means all of this stuff in Death Mountain prior is still leaving unchecked. Meanwhile, Topplife has a lot fewer options since he is now on Dark Death Mountain without the mirror. So a lot fewer things he can do right now, unfortunately. But these are things that prior has not quite gotten around to, since he has sort of gotten distracted by other options available to him. But unfortunately for Top, nothing interesting there. Just a shop and a dead entrance. So good news for Top. He is going back into Ganon's Tower, and with that cane he will get the mirror, and then I suspect we will also see him right back on top of Death Mountain very quickly, since the mirror does open up so many options up there. Top showing off the Yoshi egg bunny sprite for us. Ooh, prior finding the first glove. That opens up a couple of those entrances that we have seen but not been able to get through around the Ice Rod area, both in Light and Dark World. There's the one outside of Desert. Some good options there. Yeah, it's hard to keep track with Entrance Randomizer how much they actually had to check, but I feel like Top was pretty much running out of locations to go to. And if he had other stuff he wanted to check back over here in the area, it sort of makes sense to just drop into GT on the way, and get that one item out of there. Tile room's never pleasant, but you figure you're probably going to have to do it eventually. Meanwhile, prior finding the dam for us as well. So this will now open up Swamp permanently, of course, in Entrance Randomizer. As we'll now see Top following just a few minutes behind prior in checking out all of these Death Mountain entrances with now the help of the mirror. Alright, Top also finding the Old Man Cave, prior finding another connector in the Quarreling Brothers house. Oh, which lets him out at Pod. Once again, a connector unfortunately stranding him. He does have the cash to just go grab Kiki and open this back up if he wants to head back through. He can also check out some entrances over here in the eastern area of the world. Oh, geez, let's see, we got Catfish and Pyramid to check. Several entrances just around in this area, and it looks like he is going to... Okay, he's going to head back. I think this makes sense to just open up the entrance right away with Kiki, then it's done. And only takes a few seconds once you're already on this side of things. Alright, so between some connectors and things, it seems like we have pretty good access to a lot of the Dark World now. Prior making some mirror checks, we see the Tempered Sword at inside Spectacle Rock. And I think Prior did not mean to drop down there, but this is another connector that he can follow out the left side of the Spectacle Rock Cave, and we'll see where that takes him. But good to know that there's a Tempered Sword there, once we find the other entrance into Spectacle Rock. So there is the Laser Bridge exit, which Prior is going to go ahead and mirror to check the Light World version of. And then can drop down to one more entrance below if he wants to, but that would sort of prevent him from going back through into the Dark World. This is where you hope our runners have a good tracking system of some sort set up, because it's really easy to lose track of which entrances you've checked and which ones you haven't in this Death Mountain area. So it looks like this will get him all of Lower East Death Mountain in the Light World, but he hasn't seen that in the Dark World yet. Just a lot of things to keep track of. Ah, that's right, he came through the Spectacle Rock connector. Thank you, Triple Factorial in chat, that he was already sort of stranded here. So, definitely, worth checking out, especially since he finds the Fire Rod in Hype Cave. Fire Rod, of course, blocking a lot of stuff in Turtle Rock. Silver arrows on the library at the far right entrance there in East Death Mountain. Fire Rod also blocking the back of Skull Woods entrance, wherever that leads to. And prieR also finding the inside of Hyrule Castle, which has all those items in the front of Escape. Dark Cross as well, made much easier by having the Fire Rod. And 2 more exits also. Another GT small key, which reminds me the Fire Rod also opens up more of the right side of Ganon's Tower. I don't believe it's officially in logic yet, just because you might waste your small keys somewhere else in Ganon's Tower, but we could definitely get there. Ooh, and the Spike Cave entrance leading us to Blind's hideout, which I do not think prieR has found yet. Bombos, Agate Tower key, which opens up a second chest. Ooh, a small key to Turtle Rock. And Ether as well, so 2 out of the 3 medallions here in Blind's house. Very nice to have for topplife. Again, you just never know when that one random entrance at Turtle Rock or Mire might be something really helpful, so having all the medallions so you can open it up as soon as you get there is always good. Ooh, prieR's found another dark room. Oh, I'm sorry, he's in the Hyrule Castle. He's heading back to Dark Cross. Again, Fire Rod very convenient to have at this point. And just a heart for his troubles. Alright, so prieR's found the items in Escape, and we'll check out the exits from Hyrule Castle now. That gets us to the right side of Desert. Not particularly interesting. As Top has found another way into the Dark World, so Dark World access not really being too much of a problem today. We've found tons of connectors to it. It's just sometimes a pain to walk through them all, but our runners can pretty much get wherever they want to go in the Dark World by some weird combination of connectors at least. As we see prieR now back in the Village of Outcasts. Got some more things to check with the Thieves' Town entrance leading us to a fairy hut, as topplife finds that entrance to Spectacle Rock Cave, and we'll pick up his Tempered Sword and check out a hint here as well. So the rock southeast of Dark Lake Hylia at the shopping mall leads to a connector of some sort. As Top is setting up a bomb jump to get across to the main Spectacle Rock Cave exit, which leads him to Graveyard Ledge. We saw prieR come in through the normal entrance there, as Top is going to follow the connector as well. Which, didn't this let out at Pod, I think? Yeah, our runners are all over the place. Definitely having trouble keeping track of where all these connectors go right now. Okay, let out a laser bridge, which somehow Pod was involved here somehow. One of these East Death Mountain entrances, I think, led us out to Pod. Maybe? Not sure. Vanilla archery game. Meanwhile, prieR coming up on another important spot in Cross Keys is going to mirror right here, which is the only way to get into the left side of the Brothers' Hut, which is just a ferry, so not important today. And meanwhile, we saw Top get his Turtle Rock Big Key as well. And Hype Cave gonna yield Fire Rod. So once again, we see the Cross Keys curse of how hard it is to tell who's ahead, because now Top has a sword advantage and a couple of medallions that prieR does not, but of course they have checked wildly different entrances at this point, and it is a little bit tricky to keep track of who exactly is ahead in any real sense. So I like that move from Top there. He went ahead out the other entrance on East Death Mountain real quick before tracing all these connectors and everything through Hyrule Castle. Again, just trying to avoid that that possibility of getting trapped out to the left side of Hyrule or something like that. Again, is following pretty close behind prieR, who was just here a few minutes ago. prieR checking that item that was opened up when he pulled the lever at the dam, finding the back of Bumper Cave. I believe we saw the front of Bumper Cave before, so just a connector there. One less thing to worry about. Speaking of connectors, there's another cave that you can follow through, but again, that one entrance not as exciting as much as he has left to check here in the Dark World overworld. And while we're talking about how hard it is to keep track of what's going on in Cross Keys, let's take a moment to give a shout out to our trackers for today. Siberian and Sammy Moss doing a great job tracking for us. So, Dark World Overworld not yielding a whole lot for prieR, plus some South Shore checks to make as well. So yeah, those GT small keys are sitting there in the inventory. That's definitely something that our runners, having already been in there once or twice, they would much prefer to have the hammer and then something to get them through the left side, if possible. Boots or hook shot, or a long series of bomb jumps, I guess, is possible as well. But you just don't want to dip into GT much more than you have to, especially if Ice Armos is involved. And it looks like we are going to see now one of these glove checks that prieR has access to, but Top does not. And that one yields nothing. Ah, that was the small key to Thieves' Town I didn't notice before in Checkerboard Cave. Not especially useful, but one of those fetch quest items that it's good to at least get out of the way. But until we find that elusive hammer, it's not actually going to do anything for us. So prieR opting for the fake flipper. This will get him up to Zora, which is in logic for him. With those gloves, that is actually in logic. But the entrances along the way will technically be out of logic. We will also only be able to see the item on the Zora ledge. Oh, a big key on Zora ledge. And let's see, I think we've already found Ice Palace. So the odds of that being an important big key are a little bit higher. And Zora offering us a small key to Skull Woods. I do not think that is worth 500 rupees. I still think if Link just put a couple skill points in Lockpick, he would make his life a whole lot easier, but what do I know? So one of those fire rod checks that Top tracked down for us was completely useless. Same with these glove checks that prieR is finding. As prieR is now finding the direct laser bridge entrance. Again, similarly out of logic, but can run back toward the front of Turtle Rock a little bit if he wants to, but with no small key, still does not have access to the very front of Turtle Rock. I'm trying to remember, have they both seen? I think they've both seen the Chain Chomp chest at this point. Oh yeah, prieR went back from the laser eye room entrance. That's right. And there are Top's gloves in Skull Woods. As prieR deploys the bee to take care of that vulture during the opening animation for the Desert Palace entrance, which will probably be important, Swamp Palace, once we, you know, find some flippers and a hammer and a hookshot. But, you know, we're almost there. Here's another easily forgotten exit that prieR is going to track down for us. The back of Old Man. I'm gonna guess this is probably one of the dark rooms that we have seen already, but we'll see exactly where this lets us out. Oh! The Big Red Bomb entrance. So that's good to check off the list. And also gives us yet another way to access the Dark World. Why not? So Top also making use of his glove. Ooh, finding Sahasrara. Telling us that Turtle Rock is a green pendant. But no very exciting items in Saha's closet today. I do not think Top has used that Turtle Rock key in his inventory just yet, so he could go kill Trinex for now 2 items, whatever's on Trinex and the green pendant turning as well. I don't think prieR has seen the pyramid item yet. I think he is planning on doing that right now. So yeah, got a little lucky to not get stuck there and be able to make it back to the pyramid. So between the two of them, I feel like our runners are running out of places to check. So it's starting to seem like that right side of GT play all the way back to Ice Armos might be the thing to do. So I'm not 100% sure on the GT basement logic, but it feels like if Hammer is locked behind whatever is on the right-hand side, the right should be in logic right now with the keys that they have. Since we don't have the GT big key, so we couldn't waste any keys upstairs, and without the hammer we can't waste any keys on the left side, so we're sort of forced to use them on the right. So I think Ice Armos via the right side is in logic right now. Ah, okay, good. I'm being educated by chat. I appreciate that. That Ice Armos is always in logic with 3 smalls, apparently. I guess because there aren't as many small key doors directly on the way to Armos itself. Alright, so we're getting some duplicate checks here. Top also heading through the Village of Outcasts stuff, digging game and whatnot. As prieR is going to show us some stuff up in the direction of Catfish, finding the bombable hut in Kakariko Village at the Dark World Potion Shop. So, Catfish with nothing for us. Ah, here's one new check. The Bombos tablet is available. Has been for a while, actually, since we've had book for quite some time. And giving us a small key to Pod. If we knew where Pod was, that might be helpful.
Just going to give forewarning now. Unfortunately, the bot has got some technical issues, so it'll be down for the rest of the stream. So do not attempt to do any commands for it, and sorry for the inconvenience. Damn it, I see. Why do you test it as soon as I take it off? God damn it.
Twitch chat doing what Twitch chat does. Just can't take people anywhere. Alright, so it's looking like prieR is headed back up in the Death Mountain direction to resolve a couple of last entrance checks he hasn't gotten to up here. And these are ones that Top checked before and found nothing. So another one-off check for Top. He's going to take his newly found fire source down to the Hera basement. This is not something we have seen before, but these are the sorts of checks that we're down to at this point, as our runners are trying real hard to avoid that Ice Armos run. And as I say that, prieR dips back into GT. Small key to Swamp, once again, very helpful eventually. So that will definitely be something that takes prieR a while to find, but is not going to give Top any immediate progression right now. And here we go. Top also heading into Ganon's Tower. So runners right behind each other, but a little bit of an edge for topplife that he has checked that Hera basement for the Swamp Small Key. Top also having that huge advantage of having the Ganon's Tower compass, so he knows how many checks he has left in the basement. Nice little bomb jump from prieR. And blazes through the Ice Armos fight. And what do we find behind them? Heart Piece, 3 bombs, and the blue cane. Not really helpful. Gets us absolutely nowhere. So man, I'm trying to think what we have left. There's one connector that I think neither of our runners has followed. That weird cave on Death Mountain. One of those weird ones on the light side of East Death Mountain that just sort of goes nowhere. I guess it's the one that lets out to the Light World version of the Laser Bridge entrance. That our runners have found one side of that, but neither of them have followed through to the other side. Yeah, we do have Laser Bridge in logic, but since our runners have already checked that, not really progression. Also would help with Spike Cave, which we've seen if we had the hammer. And this might be prieR. Let's see, I'm trying to think what he's got left. I guess we haven't seen the Spiral Cave entrance. So there's one more. Which is nothing. As Top gets the bad news about this Ice Armos dip. So here's prior for Hera Basement. That's good. We'll find the Swamp Small Key. Yeah, I think Chad is right. I think Ice Palace is maybe the place to go. They have seen it. They're very limited in what they can do there, but there are a couple checks they can make. At least I should say Top can do that. prior has unfortunately not found that medallion-loaded blinds hut. Oh, wait, he has Fire Rod. Never mind. So here Top is in that connector that I was talking about. So we'll see where the other end of this leads us to. Ooh, drops us off in the mire area. So now we will get access to these couple of entrances up on the desert ledge, the checkerboard entrance, and the vanilla Misery Mire entrance as well. Ooh, also the Turtle Rock Big Chest entrance, which has the big key to Swamp. Alright, we're getting lots of pointers to Swamp, but not the flippers. So this was definitely a good connector for Top to follow. Several things to check here. The big chest in Ganon's tower contains the lamp. Wow. Just a big ol' wow. I don't know how important that is, given that our runners have a fire source and are probably pretty comfortable with most of the dark rooms that they will have to deal with. But that is a trolling location for a lamp if I've ever heard one. Alright, so again, those medallions coming in handy with the ether required to open up the Misery Mire entrance. And just 50 rupees behind it. So I think that is good news for prior. The medallions won't actually block him from any progress, although I suspect he'll find them pretty soon, because they are somewhere over here on the western part of Death Mountain. As Top finding the front of Spiral Cave there, we've seen the Spiral Cave exit. I believe that came out the top of Paradox Cave. But again, that's a one-way trip, so Top's not going to check that right now when he's still got entrances to look at here. Ooh, the back of Skull Woods. And he does have a small key, so he will be able to make it to Mothkilla right now. And with the low number of maps that we've gotten, even a little bit of information about crystals and pendants will be nice. Yeah, we'll see if he can find enough magic to actually make it through this next room. That's where the lamp would come in handy, but he might need to farm the small magic drops in here a couple of times. He might have just enough if the Gibdos stay out of his way. Nope, he's just going to farm and then come back. Ooh, nice full magic there, so we'll also have the fire rod handy, although not really needed with the tempered sword. This is a pretty quick moth fight with tempered. And there we go. Let's see what Mothula drops for us. The cape. And another crystal, so that's nice. The cape not really needed at all. We already had the blue cane for some invincibility, and I believe we have seen both sides of Bumper Cave. So the cape's not really going to help us get through there at all. So now Top will head back through to the Checkerboard Cave connector. And there's one item in Spiral Cave. Again, the exit at the other end is not especially exciting. But the item very well might be. Of course not. Just a heart. So let's see, we have seen everything we can do in GT right now. I think we have seen just about everything we can do in Turtle Rock right now. prieR is going to head back toward the front of Turtle Rock from the back here, but nothing that he can get to is interesting from what we have seen so far. Yeah, it seems like Ice Palace is about the only play left to us. And prieR is there, so this has been a pretty even race so far, but since we're pretty sure Ice Palace has this progression, this might be pretty helpful for prieR here, if he finds something good in these first couple of checks that he can make with the very little equipment that we have. You know, we could find Hammer or Hookshot or something really helpful that opens up even more of Ice Palace right now. It would not be entirely surprising. So I may have cast some aspersions on that Ice Palace small key a while ago, but it is going to come in handy to get to the right side of Ice Palace pretty quickly. So bomb jump out of the way, and we will get to the right side here in just a second. We've also got the freeze ore chest and the Ice Palace big chest that we can check out. I know I cast some aspersions on the Ice Palace big key a while ago, but it is one check, which becomes really important when there's nothing else left in the game to do. So this is one other option for topplife. He's going to take his one key and go beat trynex. We know that'll yield the green pendant. So really 2 items he's going to get out of this. But again, not it. Oh, there they are. Chat called it. Flippers in Ice Palace. Wowzers. So now that will open up the front of Swamp as well. Just 2 checks in Swamp Palace, but once again, if you got no place else to go. As topplife getting through the first 2 phases of the trynex fight fairly easily there, pretty well equipped with the Tempered Sword. And trynex drops another big key to Thieves Town. Again, not a dungeon that we know where it is, but good to have that key, I guess. And there is the front of Turtle Rock now, finally. And with the fire rod, we'll be able to check all 3 chests here. It's a very good play from topplife to just beat trynex to essentially give you access to that Turtle Rock front door. Also, Top making the Galaxy Brain play of remembering he doesn't have hookshot, so he can go the correct way around these tracks. As prior finding half magic in the first chest in Swamp. And just a compass. So I guess those flippers... let's see, the flippers will also lead us to that big key on the Zora ledge that's still floating. But I'm not sure what big key would actually help us do anything at this point. Oh, is that big key on Zora ledge gonna be Ganon's tower? And then our next progression is climbing the tower? That might be what it has to be right now. Oh, prior, there's our... I see. Okay, so prior, this was the capacity fairy entrance, right? Led us to Pod. So that's good. Yeah, so the Desert Palace small key on top side is good, but I think everything he's doing is behind trynex, which is not in logic yet with just the one Turtle Rock small key, so... I did not actually ever see where the main entrance to Turtle Rock was, so I'm not sure if we could have gotten there without beating Trinex first. I assume we probably could, but... But Pod, of course, an important find, so we'll see what prieR is able to track down in here. It becomes a little bit more restrictive on the keys without the hammer, of course, as Top is going to track down his flippers here in just a few minutes. So I guess prieR does have 4 pod small keys, which opens up everything except Helmasaur, which he couldn't get to anyway without the hammer, assuming that he can do the hammer jump, which I think he probably can. So we will get to full clear the back of Pod here. So there's our GT Big Key, making climbing the tower an option. And also opening up all sorts of possibilities for what that Zora Big Key is. There's Desert Palace as well. Yeah, getting more and more likely that this is the Pod Big Key at the Zora Ledge, which would make this a real feels bad man for prieR to full clear this except for the big chest. So Dark Maze had nothing for us, and yeah, prieR is going to leave Pod with 2 small keys and the Harmless Hellway and Vanilla Big Key chest not checked. So it seems like he is going to head up to Zora right now, and then maybe come back if that's the Pod Big Key. So let's see, it's the Misery Mire Big Key. Alright, but that means there's still those 2 checks in Pod that prieR would have easy access to, that he left behind. So we'll see how that works out. I mean, I guess he could always go back in and save scum those checks with the 2 small keys, but Toplife, meanwhile, has found his flippers as well. And let's see where he goes with those. If he heads up to the Zora Ledge first, or just dives right into Pod in the same way. So here goes prieR on the climb. Only progression he really found there behind those flippers was the GG big key, so... There's also a 50-50 chance that Aga is hiding one item. We have the Fairy Fountain and the Lost Woods hideout still at large among the drop-downs. As prieR makes his way through the gauntlet there. Fairly nice through that third and fourth room. Yeah, so Lamp does sort of point us toward Aga 1 as a possibility in those 5 checks on the well, but without the second key or the boots, we can't actually get to those items. Because we can't get to Aga 1 to defeat him without the second Aga Tower key. Oh, that's very unfortunate on prieR's side, taking a death after the gauntlet, getting sniped by that laser eye. He is going to head right back up the tower because he's decided this is where his progression is. I think he's probably right, but that is a rough hit on the time. Yeah, I'm not 100% sure on the drop-downs. Someone might have checked the Sank drop-down, because that's the one that's left, and I just missed it. But, yeah, my notes are missing both where the Sank and Pyramid go, so... Alright, so yeah, if Sank has been checked, then that would almost certainly mean it's the Fairy Fountain, which means that there actually is one item at the Lost Woods hideout behind Aga 2. Sanctuary and Pyramid are the only drop-downs that I am not sure where they are. The rest of them I've jotted down. Ooh, another death from prieR on the way up Ganon's Tower. Finally stopping to get a fairy there with the powder. Looks like topplife is checking this glove entrance outside of Ice Rod Cave, which we have seen before is, I think, just a shop or something. And priER going to have another interesting gauntlet climb. I mean, you want as much practice as possible on the gauntlet, but I don't think this is the way that you want to get it. Meanwhile, topplife is going to chase down these Desert Palace keys. Just the heart piece in the big chest, but the right side of Desert is new. I believe this small key came out of the front of Turtle Rock, I'm not sure. So priER is through the gauntlet again, did stop for the ferry before Landmo 2 there, which is always nice. This room is just not being kind to priER today. To be fair, you so rarely go through it without boots, although it's a bit more common in cross keys. Alright, so now the moment of truth for priER. We finally got our 3 chests to look at up here for after... I was about to say after Moldorm, but he has no way to get across that gap, so... never mind. Wow, finding the shovel on top of Ganon's tower. This would be the fetch quest to end all fetch quests, if that shovel actually leads to progression. Yeah, priER seems to be on his way toward the lamp. I don't know if he's actually seen that hint or not. At this point, I forget where it was. So... he might just be checking the big chest blind. So here goes Top now into Swamp Palace, where he will also find his GT... No, wait, he already has his GT Big Key. I forget. What was here in Swamp? Anything? Nothing, right? Just the half magic. priER, there's an easier way to get to the big chest. I'll just say this one is for the fans who wanted to see Ice Armos again. We'll call it that and move on. At any rate, the shovel is the only thing that we got out of that GT climb. So both of our runners converging on the Desert Palace main exit, which is the main way to get to Death Mountain currently. prieR's going to check the Desert Palace big chest on the way there. Oh, so that dark connector that Annie mentioned in chat might have been the reason why prieR wanted the lamp, leads us to the Mimic Cave ledge, which leads us into Thieves Town, which we are pretty well equipped for, everything but the big chest. Meanwhile, prieR is going to just head toward the shovel location and hope that he finds some progression there. There's our pod big key. It's a little circuitous. Wow, the shovel giving us 1 green rupee. 1 stinking rupee for that entire climb that prieR did up GT. That's gonna be a tilter. Yeah, so the GT Big Key just was intended to lead us to the lamp, to lead us through that connector out to Mimic Ledge, which leads us to the hammer in Thieves Town. So that is a big advantage for topplife, that he has gotten to the hammer and avoided all of that awful, awful Ganon's Tower climb mess. So, Top showing off some cape strats for the Hellway over there, as he will quickly make his way through the back of Thieves Town. So let's see where prieR is going to wind up here. I've lost track of where these connectors are going to get us. Oh, so he is looking for dark connectors, unfortunately choosing the wrong one as he finds the Death Mountain entrance there. Which is not the one that Top followed to get through, to get to the Mimic Ledge. So Top will break out the very nice shiny new hammer. Find another heart container in the big chest. Also interesting that we're 145 into the seed and still not sure where all of our crystals and pendants are. Topplife showing us a very nice on-script blind fight, though. To find the flute. I don't believe that actually opens up anything new, since we have found connectors to the Mire area already. Always convenient, of course, but most importantly, another crystal for Topplife. But, of course, the hammer is going to open up lots of options now. I believe he can finish Pod, he can finish Ice Palace. This hammer is a big, wide-open seed now for Topplife. Yes, hammer was in the vanilla big key chest of Thieves Town, I believe. So Topplife just needs the Eastern Palace Big Key, potentially the hookshot, although not necessarily if Swamp turns out to be our third pendant. As we say that, Swamp is our third pendant, so Topplife really, I believe, is Eastern Palace Big Key from Go Mode right now. I agree with Allison in chat. If there's one thing you can count on from Cross Keys, it's that it always gives you the items when you want them. So yeah, we are going to dip back into Ice Palace right now with the hammer. Thank you, Jay Cooper. Yes, that is correct. We do need a way into Mire, actually. So we will need either the hookshot or the boots. I believe we have found Mire, but no way past the hole in the first room. So, Top heading back down through the Ice Palace slog, getting through the bomb jump again. prieR is showing us the heart at the end of Spiral Cave, and again, we've already seen where this lets out. But if prieR has more stuff to do up on Death Mountain, he's got some options here. And I admit I have fully lost track of what prieR has left to check on Death Mountain and what he has done already, so... So let's see if Top finds anything else on the right side of ice. Another Turtle Rock small key. So it seems now that prieR is sort of treading over some ground he has hit before. He is not sure where that last dark connector is that he needs. This is always the danger, that there's just one sort of out-of-the-way entrance that leads you to your progression. And he has run into that wall right now, and it just feels terrible, because all of a sudden there are hundreds of entrances everywhere, and you have no idea which one is the right one. I mean, okay, not hundreds of entrances. Dozens, though. Oh, I see. The bot that's helpful to chat is broken, but the bot that yells at me is working perfectly fine. I get it. I get it.
I mean, there's no stopping Hydration Bot. It works from the graveyard.
I guess who am I to argue with Hydration Bot then? topplife hacking his way through the Cold Stare fight pretty quickly. His last puff, dodging nicely though, get some extra slashes for its trouble. I guess we have the back of desert entrance still to be found also, along with Eastern Palace. Oh wow, prieR still had not made his way back to Super Bunny Cave. I forget where the top of Super Bunny Cave let out. Ah, okay. Not especially helpful to prieR, as topplife is going to show us our first look at the left side of GT now, with the hammer to get us through this room. That, as always, there's so many items in here, this is pretty likely to work out well for us. Although, not in logic, I guess. Doable with bomb jumps, of course, but without boots or hookshot. There's our third B-Torp. So nothing in Dark DM's room. And so Swamp is the play here for topplife. Again, we can hit everything up to the hookshot requirement to get into the very back of Swamp. Everyone loves double dipping Swamp, right? Top, forgetting about that key he's supposed to pick up. Meanwhile, prieR has found the correct connector. And so this will at last get him to his hammer. But yeah, unfortunately without the big key, he will not be able to actually finish the back of Thieves Town, but he will be able to get the hammer and leave at the very least. And on top life side, nothing yet in Swamp, with just the left side available to us still. And we will see where prieR goes first with this hammer. As Top comes up on our two chests on the left side of Swamp. Yet again, annoyingly with no hookshot, probably is going to have to climb these stairs twice, unless he guesses right and finds the hookshot in one of these two. Wow. Wow, wow. There's the hookshot. I am a witch. That's the way it goes. There's our fourth bottle, which is nice. And Top will nope out of Swamp Palace right now. I guess that makes sense. Item-wise, there's really nothing else to be found except the boots. If the boots are in back of Swamp, this is going to work out real badly for Top Life, but we'll see how this goes. Gonna head up to Mimic Cave next. Oh yeah, Eastern Palace Big Key as well could be back there, but he is opting out of the back of Swamp. Interesting choice. Alright, well there's the boots out of the way at least. So that opens up a couple more entrances. We've got the normal bonk rocks. We have the dark bonk rocks behind Link's house that we haven't seen yet. So those entrances that we're still looking for could always be there. So I know we have seen the Light World rocks behind Link's house. I'm not sure if I've seen the dark ones. I might have just missed them, though. I know we have seen Bottle Merchant at some point. It's like a heart piece or something boring. Fun fact to point out, though, the boots mean that Aga 1 is now... Oh no, we're still missing an Aga Tower key. Never mind. We don't have to worry about Aga 1 yet. But if we find that Aga Tower second key, all of a sudden Aga 1 for the Lumberjack entrance to the well comes into play, since there are 5 items there, and our missing big key might very well be right there. It's a 5th pod small key in Mire. Yeah, that is a heck of a location for the Turtle Rock entrance. So the game was definitely expecting you to do all of those checks from the back. That's interesting. Mushroom, another fetch quest. I don't recall seeing the actual potion shop, but I might have missed that one as well. So now prieR going to dip back into Thieves Town with his big key now to be able to do the back. So speaking of that second Aga Tower key, that's now available to topplife. There are 5 checks in the well behind Aga 1 and the Lumberjack drop-down. And he does not have the lamp, but I believe he knows where it is, so Aga is completely in logic as far as he's concerned. Yeah, and topplife skipping the cutscene on the left side of Mire. He's definitely taking some risks here that might come back to bite him, depending on how prieR plays this out and what items he has skipped. So yeah, topplife is clearly more worried about entrances than items at this point, but he is not in item go mode. He's also at 1 heart here in Mire. Oh, and takes a rough death. I do not think he has a fairy in a bottle, so this is going to be another long trip down through the Mire basement. We'll see if he opts for the left side now that he's been forced to come back to the front of Mire again. The magic is also going to come into play. He might be forced to do the left side just to get that full magic refill over there. Or at least forced to if he wants to save that blue potion. Nope, he's just going to head right back up. Oh yeah, there's the magic right after the big key door, which he's going to grab. Yeah, no left side mire hint, just a gamble from Top Life that there's nothing behind the cutscene. Alright, so prieR is also going to follow the same path. Hammer's going to lead him back to Ice Palace as well. And finishing up those checks there. So he's not that far behind Top Life, and depending on how difficult these last couple of items and entrances are to track down, we still could have a pretty close race here. So, nicely executed spins there from Top Life to get through the Vitreous fight pretty quickly. And that is crystal number 5. So, fairly amusing that we have saved our 5-6 crystals until last, just because the seed hasn't really let us get to them yet. Okay, here is Hookshot Cave. Single arrow, good start. Ooh, small key to the castle. Alright, sewer key is useless right now. The boots were behind some hammer-locked entrance. They were just in a single chest cave, like the Bonk Rock's location or something like that. Ah, Mimic, that's right. There's our green pendant turn in finally for 3 bombs. So this is where it's possible to get caught up in cross keys. topplife has spent a lot of time making sort of reasonable checks to make, tracking down, you know, one-off locations and items that he hasn't gotten to yet. Meanwhile, prieR is just making steady progress through the dungeons that he can finish. But if he can make these last checks faster than Top does to find the really important items like the Eastern Palace key and stuff like that, he can definitely make up a lot of time. So we'll see the King's Tomb entrance also. Another one locked by the boots. Just leading us to the hint at Dark Chapel. So let's see, we have found Spike Cave. Spike Cave leads to a glove. But I'm not sure the mitts actually unlock anything, right? I mean, we have gotten to... I guess they open the vanilla Turtle Rock entrance. That's something. But that's about it. Oh, the Smith's chain, right. Because we found the Smiths. That'll get us back to hammer pegs. Oh, yeah, all sorts of stuff. Never mind, I'm going crazy. This seed has driven me over the edge, apparently. So it looks like we are headed in the Smith's direction first. Oh, also these dark bonk rocks behind Link's house. It's good. Another boots location. And prieR is going to head back into Palace of Darkness. Again, has those 2 keys and Harmless Hellway and the Vanilla Big Key chest, as we saw floating there, but he's going to head right back to Helmasaur first. Nope, never mind. topplife is going to dip back into Ganon's tower to use the hookshot on the left-hand side before he tracks down those mitts checks. Ganon's tower continuing to be unfriendly to our runners. So this could be big on prieR's side. topplife has definitely been avoiding finishing Palace of Darkness. This is not a tech he wants to make right away, so if prieR finds something here quickly, that could be very helpful. Thieves Town map, so just 4 checks on toplife's side in the GT basement. And prieR is rewarded with just 300 rupees. And another pendant, of course. Alright, GT Basement has nothing for topplife. Looks like he is going to go ahead and pick up the lamp while he's here. I mean, Top Life did Mire, but that Eastern Palace Dark Room, that can be a tough one, so, apparently he has decided the lamp is worth the time. So this is another big moment coming up for prieR. I think this is his best shot at getting back into this race, is if the back of Swamp has something that... prieR also forgetting about this key under the pot. So if prieR goes ahead and does the back of Swamp and it has something that Top Life skipped, that's gonna be huge for prieR. There's Butter Sword for Top Life. At the Vanilla Ice Palace entrance. So another one opened up by Mitz, but not really the one he was hoping for. And he has found an extra small key for Pod, so it looks like we'll see if he decides to do Harmless Hellway, or... yep, he is going to head back for Harmless Hellway, which seems to be a good choice at this point, as it turns out. Or, wait, oh no, I see. He's already done Harmless Hellway. He has not gotten the big chest yet. I lost track of who had done what in Pod. So, Top Life pulling off the Hammer Jump again nicely. So now we'll find our French Vanilla Hookshot again over on prieR's side. Meanwhile, Top Life is now in the vicinity of the smiths, chain, hammer pegs, etc. And this hammer entrance locked house. Nothing there. We saw a nice double take from Top Life there, thinking about whether he should check that entrance or not, but I think that's the right play. So, yes, prieR heading into the back of... never mind. Top Life finding the Eastern Palace big key on the smiths. So it's really just the entrances that we're looking for now. So those items that Top Life has skipped in Swamp are not going to hurt him. The gamble pays off. So we'll just see how quickly he can track down these entrances. Yep, there's the Eastern Palace entrance at Hammer Pegs. Yeah, silvers are an option for him to go back for. The library's up on Death Mountain somewhere, but I think at this point it's probably not worth the time, would be my guess. Although if he goes up to check the Turtle Rock main entrance, as he can do now with his mitts, then he probably will stop for the library entrance, which is, I forget where. I think it's the 4th entrance on the far right of Eastern Light World Death Mountain. Yeah, to no one's surprise, Top Life skipping even more chests now. Really nothing left that could help him in the Ganon fight. He's got all 4 bottles. I guess you could find some mail upgrades somewhere, but who needs those? So, meanwhile, prieR has finished the 3rd pendant now, meaning pedestal is available, but there's not really anything that item can be to help him out, unfortunately. He was about to head back into the Hera entrance there. I'm not sure where he is headed right now. Alright, so prieR's back in GT, which we know, unfortunately, the left side is not really going to yield anything. prieR has somehow gotten to this point without ever finding Blind's Hut, which I think is west Dark Death Mountain somewhere. Since he's still missing those 2 medallions that we found in there, or that Top Life found in there a long time ago. Yeah, and it looks like Top Life is going to take the front exit out of Desert right now, as we're getting back up Death Mountain. Which seems like we're going to check the TR main entrance. So Top Life is opening that entrance right now, and we're running out of places that the back of Desert could be. And there it is. So that those mitts were a big find. So that hint definitely pointed him in the right direction, and then it was fairly fast to track down all of those mitts entrances. So we are real close to the end of this seed at this point. Top Life will just have to get through a Landmo fight, as unfortunately prieR is climbing the tower again to get to Aga 2 and everything behind the second Moldorm fight. which, as we know, is just not the right choice to make. But it's one of those times when maybe if you feel like you're far behind, you've got to take a gamble, and this is not a crazy gamble to make. But unfortunately, looking like a lost cause for prieR at this point. So, topplife down to his last crystal right there. Gets the blue mail upgrade, so Yoshi can just fly over to the Ganon fight from here. And we will just be headed back up to the Lost Woods to finish off Ganon and finish off this seed. Oh, he is going to take a second to grab those silver arrows. Again, he's right here. And had to mirror back to the light world to flute down to the Lost Woods anyway. prieR just barely making it through the gauntlet on his last heart. This will be a very quick Ganon fight out of topplife, barring anything catastrophic happening. And Cape Strat's in Phase 2. We'll get him to Phase 3 pretty quickly. Half magic means he can go for some swag extra slashes on Ganon. Into the 4th phase. Ooh, just barely misses getting that last slash in before the torches went out, but we'll get the 4th arrow into the big pig, and get your GGs in chat for topplife as soon as he crosses that treacherous 1x3 bridge. And he will finish with a time of approximately 2:29:16, it looks like. And then a forfeit from prieR there. That was, yeah, Ganon Tower was not kind to prieR today. So while we see if we can get our runners in chat for a quick post-race interview, we can check out the bracket a little bit. topplife has earned the right to move on to the 3rd round to face Hitsuyan 1337 in the 3rd round of the winners bracket. And speaking of topplife, we are joined here in chat. GG. How did you feel about that seed?
Well, kind of okay. I was too nervous through the whole gameplay, so I made a lot of execution errors. But else I felt the seed was fine.
The hammer was definitely the troll item this time around. But there were a couple other good ones. We had the hook shot. What was your least favorite part of those?
Well, the hammer. Did I even need the hook shot? I'm not sure. Well, personally, I felt like the Titan Myths was the most funny part because I was going to skip the spike cave.
Yeah, the spike cave hint came in pretty clutch, and your opponent I think never found that hint, and was still missing the myths at the end of the game. So that was a really helpful hint in that case.
Considering I skipped most of the hints, that was kind of funny. I don't know if I skipped any other useful hints, but yeah.
Did you get the lamp hint?
Yeah, I did.
We weren't sure who had seen that one and who hadn't.
Yeah, I kind of wasted a bit to getting the lamp, but I was thinking about the Aga Tower climb, so I didn't want to do that in the darkness.
Yeah, that makes sense. Because yeah, once you got the myths, then at the end it was a pretty straight shot to check out those entrances, since that was all you were really looking for. I guess Chad also wants to know about your swamp gamble, not doing the back of swamp.
I didn't really consider it that much. I was just kind of thinking about the hookshot cave and the entrance where it left, because I knew that had one entrance. So I was mostly not worried about items when I found either the hookshot or the boots. I was kind of just wanting to find entrances. But yeah, the first Swamp Palace dip was kind of stupid because I kind of forgot I couldn't do much without hammer.
Yeah, Swamp was definitely a sort of a sticking point for a lot of this seed, given how long it was until the flippers and all of that sort of stuff.
Yeah, the flippers really worried me, because fake flippering, I was wondering if that could break the seed. And, well, what was in pod again? There was something big, 2 big keys at least. But,
Yeah, I've lost track of which big keys were in there.
I think it was the GT and Desert big key at least. I don't know if there was something else. And there was another big key on the Sora ledge. Mr. Meyer, I think.
Yeah, I believe that was Meyer up there.
Yeah, think about it, I don't even think I remember where the hammer was. I just know it was laid.
Yeah, hammer was in the Thieves Town, which was behind a dark connector. So the seed really expected you to get the GT big key to get the lamp to go through the connector to get to Thieves Town.
Yeah.
So logically, it was pretty rough.
Yeah, right. I knew I lacked the. I think I only had 2 connectors and both led to somewhere new, so I just dipped through the dark connector there. Caring about the lamp.
Yeah, so let's see. You are set up to face Hitsuyan 1337 in the 3rd round. Any thoughts or trash talk you want to unleash for that matchup?
Well, I when I saw my path, I was really not happy about facing Hitsuyan at 16 rank. I think that's a bit unfortunate. I think he's a higher seed. So I can't have the execution I had today if I want to beat him. But well, I have a shot. That's all I can say.
Yeah, it should definitely be a great matchup. I'll be looking forward to that one. So yeah, any final thoughts on the seed or anything else so far?
Just thank you for setting this restream up and everything.
No problem. Always a pleasure to do it for you guys. But anyways, time to wrap things up. So thank you to Cool Papa Bell for doing the solo commentary on this. I know how stressing it can be, and thank you very much for doing it. Thank you to our 2 wonderful trackers today, Siberian and Samimamas. There's so many M's I can't keep track. Thank you very much for doing the tracking. You guys did a great job. Thank you, Top and prieR. I don't know if I got that right. For the race, it was very entertaining, and wish you luck, Top, with your coming up matches. That all being said, in just over an hour we should have another race, and between Wall Kicks and Plasma Kappa. I don't know if we've got enough for that, but hopefully, fingers crossed, that will happen. Otherwise, thank you everyone for watching, and see you guys.
Absolutely. Thanks, everybody.